Yeah, I pulled this laptop close to me. You be right here.
I didn't use my laptop. I was using
Oh
And then, do you want to hit play on 3?
no. Yes.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and I just love to talk about movies. And today I want to talk to you guys about Talk to Me. So me and my friend could not wait and we put together this movie date night thing. Again, I think I may have mentioned it in another video, but we'll just like be on FaceTime or Facebook Messenger or whatever and just watch a movie together. Talk to Me was one movie that we were both really excited about seeing. I had no idea prior to watching it that it was directed by two brothers that started out on YouTube, making YouTube videos, which is so amazing that they got this opportunity. When I saw the trailer, sorry, I had to pull you guys in a little closer. You're so far away. When I saw the trailer, I recognized that as a Hand of Glory. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. It was like a bunch of kids were like holding the hand and the hand would, it looked like the hand would possess them. I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is different. You got me. The Hand of Glory is not new. It's like a monkey's paw or a cauldron. It's something that, especially if you watch a lot of horror movies or read a lot of horror stories like myself, it's something that you've heard of before. But I wasn't like bored by that. I was like, that is so interesting. I want to know more about what this story is. Talk to Me is about a bunch of people, young people, teenagers, that have found somehow a hand that grants a person the ability to see and communicate with ghosts or spirits. And they've created rules around using it, and it has become a sort of viral phenomenon where the ones who are filming the events that occur after the user touches the hand are seeing it live and experiencing it. And then on the other end, people who have never been there in person seeing it and what they think about it. So you do get these two perspectives before and after. As I said, I think in my last movie review about Saint Maud, I was not ready. So there will be spoilers in this review. I feel like it's been out for a couple months now, but I really want to talk about the movie, so I am going to talk about some key things. So in the beginning of the movie, there is a young man who's looking for his brother who's at a party. And he finds he's locked himself in a room where there's this huge, enormous party. And I don't mean just that there are a lot of people here. This is a humongous house. There's a lot of moving parts, people dancing, sitting, drinking, eating. There's a pool. This guy's really worried, and he ends up breaking the door down to see his brother is sitting on the bed, and he's got these terrible scratches on his back, and he looks not well. And he's like, I'm gonna take you home. And the younger brother is talking about their father and the things that he's been telling him. And the next thing you know, he's grabbed a knife from the kitchen table and stabs his brother and then himself. And you're like, what? What happened? I mean, you saw what happened, but what happened? And then the next scenes are of Mia. And at first I thought she was coming back from a funeral or they were hosting a funeral. And then later on you find out that it's a remembrance for her mother who has passed away. And I was kind of surprised by that. I didn't know that people did that. Makes sense. It was a very somber event. She appeared very distracted and kind of in her head. People had to repeat things to her, like call her name several times. That's why I say that. So later on, she gets a call from a very close friend of her. Her brother calls her for a ride. He needs a ride home. So she leaves the house and goes to pick him up. He introduces her as his sister, so that kind of set the tone for her going to her friend's house. So as the story continues, Mia, which we're audience is already ready for because it's what you see in the trailer, is Mia's experience touching the hand. They go through the process of telling her the rules, telling her what to say, and you get a closer look at the hand. They tell her that it's an embalmed arm from someone who could communicate with the dead, and that it's been covered in like a ceramic to preserve it, and that they got it from someone who got it from someone who got it from someone. No need to really research anything because the person who gave it to them is gone, and nobody knows who gave it to that person, and nobody knows who gave it to that person, and so on. So there is no book to read, there is no articles to Google. The hand is like a force of nature. There's nothing that you can do. The hand exists and will continue to exist. Nobody's going to destroy the hand because the hand is not the problem. Mia experiences the hand and it's real. What they're seeing is real, what they're experiencing is real, and hearing her talk about what it feels like to touch the hand. They describe the sensation as like amazing. She is aware of what's happening but has no control over it. So the fact that they've just confirmed, life beyond this one was like very much taken in stride. Like, of course, no one is surprised by that. What do you do once you really know, not believe, that there's life beyond this one, that there are spirits still here, and the hand allows you to be a conduit for them, not just to see them, which is like, for me, it's like tier 1 is being able to see. And then tier 2 is the allowing them to possess your body temporarily thing. Mia has just experienced a loss. Well, not just, but it's still raw for her, still very at the top of her mind. She does not follow the rules with that hand. Here's where things get a little misty. At a certain point down the line, watching the film, you realize that the characters agree that what they're seeing is real, and that even though there are spirits there, they cannot affect their world. Only people can affect their reality. Spirits can be there moving around all the time, but you can't see them. And the only way for them to affect this world is if they are allowed to by another person. So nobody's really worried about anything happening beyond that. But then when Mia starts to hear things and see things and feel things as though she were still touching the hand, that's when things start to go off the rails. The younger brother, Riley, convinces Mia and the others because Jade's feelings got hurt and she left the room to allow him to touch the hand. And because he's a kid, whatever he saw really scared him. But everybody's telling him that it's okay, and they encourage him to let the spirit possess him. And when it does, it forces him to hurt himself. Severely. Shockingly. He's taken to the hospital. Jade's mother is irate, as she should have been. Irate. If she could have gotten the phone numbers and addresses of everybody that was in that room and gone to see their families, she absolutely would have done that. And parents are dead space in so many horror movies where they'll either not be present at all, and I don't mean just like mentally not present, I mean like physically not present, where somebody is supposed to have a parent but you never see or hear them. Or they completely ignore violent and aberrant behavior for whatever their reasons are. Or they excuse that behavior for whatever their reasons are. And parents are critical, especially when you're telling the story of a young person. Either their presence or their absence plays a critical role in their character development. Her father is there, but he apparently is not a great communicator with her. I appreciate having that information, and it also made her absence make sense because she's at work. So Riley gets hurt, she goes to the hospital, the jig is up. The jig is so up. Jade is furious. She does not want to have nothing to do with Mia. Mia's making excuses. Riley asked her, and of course she said yes, because Mia is not his sister. Mia is Jade's friend. And I know she cares about Riley, but there is the difference. Jade said no, absolutely not. You do not get to touch that hand. I see what it's doing to everybody else, and I understand why you want to be like part of the group. You want to be a cool guy and touch this hand, but the answer is no. Mia's spiraling, trying to figure out how to fix it. She's not talking to her father. Jade's mom has banned her, so they're keeping the hand a secret despite it all. Video footage and all, which I found interesting. It's like something illicit. If word got out to adults or to parents about this thing that we've been doing, that all hell will break loose. That out of all the things that we could have been doing, this is the thing that will really change things forever. If we admit this thing that we've been doing, the things that we've been seeing, it creates this weird tension where it's if we tell the truth, it sounds like we're lying. And if we say nothing, then it sounds like we're lying. But if we told the truth, what would happen? Mia has become so stripped down by the things that she's seeing and the things that she's feeling and things that she's hearing that she's completely lost her grip on reality, consequence, identity. The loss of her mother has really loosened her grip on reality, I think. The circumstances around her mother's death, which were unclear to her, she still has so many questions that were not answered. And then this whole thing happens, and the things that she thought she could rely on, she can't rely on anymore. And it just goes and goes and goes until there's a point where she, in this state, mistakes her father for someone who is trying to hurt her, and she ends up hurting him. And then goes to the hospital because she thinks that she's found out how to help Riley, how to make it right. Ends up getting herself killed in the process. The intention was to kill Riley, and she got herself killed instead. And that is where the story ends, with her reaching out in the darkness, walking through the darkness towards a light, and then reaching out and someone grabbing her hand and realizing that she's in a room full of people who are looking at the hand, and it's that hand. In that moment, realizing what must have happened to her. You know, it happened really fast towards the end. And I like that. I like that after she fell, the event sort of sped up so that she's not living each day, each moment, each agonizing second in the same reality that they're living in. Time is moving at a much different rate, and I like that detail. Her walking in the darkness and the light, being a group of people. I really enjoyed the movie. I highly, highly recommend it. It had everything. Mia's house is huge and new and nice. They're landscaping. And then she goes to her friend's house, and I was like, houses are huge and nice and like modern, like mid-century modern with like glass walls and stuff. Okay, so this is interesting. We got upper class families. It seems like that sandbox love where they've been friends for a really long time, and her mom passing away sort of changed their relationship a bit. She really seems to lean on them for support. Their mother, played wonderfully by Miranda Otto, is very supportive as well. And that like immediately gets into your feelings, right? It's like, this is not a superficial friendship. This is not, they're my neighbors. They're like, no, when your brother calls me in the middle of the night to go pick him up from somewhere, I'm gonna go pick him up. Which I liked. I liked to see that at the beginning, that this person has real connections. This main character, our protagonist, Mia, has real, like, tangible connections to the world. And by the world, I just mean her friend and her friend's brother and her friend's mom. They've known her for a while, so they offer bits and pieces of information that help to fill out her character too, and theirs as well. So I love stuff like that, where it's not just like, this is the best friend and this is the best friend's brother, you know, and this is their mom, who is such a force and has such a personality and is a dynamic character in the film, which I was not expecting and was very surprised by, and like that a lot. She is not about these games like, oh, I'm just going to study at a friend's house. She's like, no, you're not. I know exactly where you're going. Be safe and come home at a reasonable hour. Like, she knew what the game was, and I really love that about her character. That was a surprise. And again, it was like all of these pleasant surprises throughout the entire movie, where it's like, we're not falling into what I call the dead spaces in horror movies, where it's just stuff that's for no reason, that doesn't contribute anything to the story or character mood. It just is something that is to fill the space, and there's no wasted space here. Jade and Riley have both parents, but their father is quite absent, and their mother is very present, but she, you know, works a lot, as she makes sense. They got this big ass house. I appreciate being able to see somebody who works hours like that when the house is this big, and you're like, how could they possibly afford it when they're home all day and home all afternoon? Like, what do they do for a living? I'll give you a prime example. Transformers. Sam Witwicky's parents. What did they do for a living? It looked like they were older, like maybe they'd had him later in life, but they don't have jobs. Did y'all notice that? They don't work. I was trying to figure out how it is that they have this enormous house in California. I don't think it will keep you up too late at night. Not like movies like Hereditary, for example, or Midsummer, for example. Them two movies, images were like burned into my brain for days afterwards. Talk to Me was one that I wanted to talk about, that I wanted to watch again, that I found genuinely interesting, and I wanted to learn more about like the process of them make, like how they come up with these ideas. It just made me very interested overall in everything. A friend of mine was like, it is kind of similar to them and their relationship to each other, and the phenomena of this hand is like being on drugs the first time, being with people the second time, being encouraged to do more drugs. Other people won't understand, and so you can't tell anyone about it, but these people get it. These people that also do this drug understand. It seems addictive because they do it all the time, every night apparently. The world that they built with this story is really full of characters and important details, and sort of reminds me of movies like Smile, where there is a supernatural event, but it's also in a realistic setting. So how does that work in a realistic setting? I would give Talk to Me a 4 out of 5 because there were some things that I think would help us get a firmer idea of our characters, and that would be before her mother died. That information was very specifically kept out, and it was something that I really wanted to see. I wanted to get a better idea of her mother. I wanted to get a better idea of who she was, because it's one thing if, for example, her mother was Mother of the Year, you know, always showing up, always on time, and she missed her, and you could see why she would miss that, versus a mother that was like abusive and cruel and whatnot. Her missing that and the difference that would make in how the character is perceived. A few things, and I feel like I would, without a shadow of a doubt, say 5 out of 5. But I still highly recommend it. It is in my collection. And I can't wait to see more of what the directors come up with. I think this was an amazing feature film debut, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think. Please let me know. Thank you so much for spending your time here with me today, and I'll see you guys next time.